Since my original video on Animal Crossing New Horizons in April, Nintendo's added some content to the game like Red, Diving, Pascal, and the Dream Suite. They've also changed some behind the scenes stuff that data miners have found, like NPC visitor spawn rate changes. With these changes to the base game come changes in opinions as well, and to be blunt, I've got some pretty strong opinions about the game at this point. And not all of them are positive. So for this video, I just wanted to revisit some stuff that I talked about in my April video, and I'll talk a bit about the content drops we've gotten and the current direction of the game. One of the biggest differences between New Leaf and New Horizons that I mentioned was that instead of purchasing everything with bells, the crafting system made item hunting more engaging. And for the most part, I still stand by that. Crafting and being able to place any item outside yourself made island customization in New Horizons so much quicker and convenient than New Leaf's Public Works project system, where you had to wait a whole day to place down one decoration that you would pick from an already pretty limited catalog. That said, a bigger point I made in my video was that I hated that tools, which now have to be crafted, have durability. I understand why it exists with flimsy tools, since when you're using those, it's because the game is teaching you to DIY. But being able to break the regular tools, and especially the golden tools, is just as inconvenient as it was when the game launched. Sorry, you know what? Scratch that. It's actually even more inconvenient than it was at launch because of all the tools that I've broken since. I don't care that there are Nook Miles achievements that have to do with breaking tools and crafting replacements. The whole idea is ridiculous in the first place. I can maybe understand the axe and shovel, but the watering can, fishing rod, and net? Them breaking ruins the bug and fish catching experience and makes watering even more of a chore than it already was because of the constant interruptions when, oh no, there goes my 500th trusty tool. There's also nothing to look forward to now with the golden tools since they cost a golden nugget to craft, one of the rarest resources in the game, but still break anyway. There's zero functional or practical point to crafting them now, and it sucks that they ruin an achievement that everyone looked forward to earning in previous games just to pander to their new crafting system. Speaking of the crafting system, I also mentioned crafting issues like not being able to craft in bulk or pull items from storage automatically while crafting in my original video. And hey, guess what? It's been 4 months since launch and we've received numerous patches, but we still can't. At first, I was maybe a bit surprised that they shipped the game without these features, but what's honestly even more amazing to me, still to this day, is that they haven't bothered adding them in yet. It seems like people ask for these things almost every time the game is discussed online, but the only quality of life change we've received so far is Sahara's dialogue being shortened, and I think nothing else. And at this point, now that the game's been patched numerous times since launch, this goes way beyond crafting. This extends to every poorly designed user interface and experience that this game has to offer. For example, why can't I mass delete mail? Or see what clothes at Abel's I already own so I don't buy duplicates? Or buy multiples at Abel's at once? Why can't I check the weather for the day? Or buy items in bulk and just pick how much I want instead of buying 5 items at a time? Why do I need to use an unofficial separate app on my phone to track my turnip prices for the week? And why, please, can someone tell me why the airport system has been unchanged since launch? In fact, why was it like this in the first place? Really? A dialogue tree? Why can't we just have like a kiosk or a pop-up menu when talking to Orville that has all my friends' open islands that I can access immediately and a separate section to just input the dodo code? They need to pick up the pace with quality of life improvements, or God, just start giving us improvements at all. This stuff makes doing the smallest things in this game more of a drag than it needs to be. I mean, for God's sake, they haven't even acknowledged people's requests at this point. They basically released a game that's missing stuff from its predecessors, promised frequent updates, and are now stonewalling the fans when they aren't happy with what they're getting. Which brings me to the NPC Visitors, yet another system that has its issues but has stayed mostly untouched since launch. In my original video, I said that a big part of the game's charm was having random NPCs drop in during the week like Flick, CJ, Label, Wisp, and Gulliver. Looking back though, I can say without a doubt that from March to July, the game's NPC Visitor system was garbage. For those who don't know, the system worked like this. Every week, from Monday to Friday, you were guaranteed to get Leaf, Kix, and Sahara once, leaving CJ, Flick, Gulliver, Red, and Label to be randomly inserted into the remaining 2 days of the week. The next week, the 2 open slots would have a higher likelihood of having 2 of the remaining 3, and so forth. The reason I say that the system was garbage is because it made NPCs that offer more exclusive and in-demand items like Gulliver's souvenirs and rusted parts, Red's artwork, and CJ and Flick's models almost impossible to earn even semi-frequently. When this system was live, I think I ran into Red maybe 2 times since he was added in April, all the way to July when the spawn rates were adjusted. Patience is one thing, but having a broken system that shoves the less valuable NPCs in your face while the others get sidelined made the game so much less interesting to me after 3 to 4 weeks of playing. Like I said, and to their credit, they did patch the NPC spawn rates to be different in early July. Now, Leaf, Sahara, and Kix don't have priority anymore, but instead it's just a free-for-all every week, with the next week prioritizing NPCs who didn't visit the week before. There is no doubt that this system is better than the one we had before, but I'm still left with questions, like why are Leaf, Kicks, and Label even still random NPC visitors at this point? Leaf should just be in Nook's Cranny, that's how it was before and it's still what makes sense. The same goes for Kicks being an extension of Abel's store, and Label eventually becoming a permanent vendor on your island. After playing the game for this long, I don't rely on Leaf or Kicks showing up nearly half as much as I do Gulliver or CJ and Flick. Can they please just add things like bush starters and umbrellas to their respective stores, because right now they're taking up NPC visitor spots, meaning whenever I see either Leaf or Kicks on my island, I know it's a waste of a day. Label, however, is somehow even worse than those two though, because she straight up has no purpose. You could wear a turd smeared shirt for her and she would applaud you and give you her reward. It doesn't even seem like there's an endpoint to her quest, so is there a plan for her in the future, maybe in like an update or something? But if that's the case, why is she in the game now? With Gracie and New Leaf, if you impressed her enough times, which was actually hard to do by the way, she would set up shop on your island. But that's not a thing with Label, she's just there. The updates they've added to the game don't really fix anything I just went over, but they did add some cool stuff. Diving gave us plenty of new creatures to try to catch each month, and Pascal encourages you to do it anyway, even if you've caught everything, to get those mermaid DIY recipes and pearls. Same with Pirate Gulliver and the pirate items. In what was supposed to be the August update, but it dropped in late July instead, they added the Dream Suite, except it's not a building this time, it's just your bed, which is actually more convenient if you ask me. For those who haven't played any other Animal Crossing games, the Dream Suite was a thing in New Leaf where you could upload your island to the internet so that anyone could visit whenever they wanted. You could either input an island ID code to visit a specific island, or you could tell Luna to take you to a random one. There's a catch though, because of course there always has to be a catch with Nintendo. For some strange, unexplained, probably out of touch and Nintendo-like reason, they removed the feature to visit random dream islands, and now you need a code to go anywhere. So a big part of the Dream Suite, which was to visit cool random islands and find inspiration for your own, now doesn't exist. Instead, now the Dream Suite is basically just another airport, but instead of a 5-digit dodo code, you now need a 12-digit code. So ultimately, they added an airport that lets you access islands when their gates aren't open and doesn't let you affect anything on the island, but only if you have the code. As someone who's been playing every day since launch, my motivation to boot this game up has been dropping quicker and quicker because of stuff like this. At first, there was a whole catalog of crafting items to obtain, a museum to build, a concert to host. Now we have to wait for Nintendo to drip feed us content that was in every game before this one, but for some reason didn't make it at launch. Right now, this game just feels too bare bones for me to continue playing for as long as I did New Leaf, because there's just less going on. They replaced public works projects with crafting, but didn't add anything else to compensate for the lack of long-term goals, like unlocking or upgrading stores. I've decorated my island from top to bottom twice now. I've become a millionaire from selling turnips, and it only takes a few hours each month to catch any new bugs and fish. This game somehow feels like it's more of a grind than any other Animal Crossing I've played, except the grind also feels like it's leading me nowhere. A lot of people know this, but when it comes to Nintendo, it feels like most of the time any feedback or requests from fans fall on deaf ears. I'm not talking about people hounding them for a new F-Zero or whatever, I'm talking about their horrible handling of online in this game. I'm talking about their lack of communication with fans about the state of the game that seemingly every other gaming company manages to maintain. I'm talking about how their late implementation of cloud saves is the most anti-consumer form I've ever seen it take, considering you need to contact support to get your save back from the cloud, and they'll only give it to you if your Switch is lost or damaged. Is Nintendo ever going to address any of this? Honestly, I don't think I have it in me to wait around much longer. I appreciate that there are people who still love this game as much as they did at launch, but to me, if things continue the way they are now for the next few updates, I don't see myself playing this game as much as I thought I would be.